Hello everybody, this is Old Soldier. In this episode we're going to talk about things that I've used to protect my hand, namely gloves and mittens. I'll talk about ones that have worked great for me and maybe some that didn't work as well. Let's go. So judging from these pictures, I should be enrolling in Gloves and Mittens Anonymous. Seriously, gloves and mittens were something I first started to do for fun and on weekends, on special occasions, and then I got to be an everyday thing. Okay, seriously. No, hey, what do you use gloves and mittens for? Well, to protect your hands. You use them in the wintertime to insulate and protect them from the cold. Some situations you use gloves to prevent your hands from being burnt, or so you can handle things that are warm. Let's say a firearm that you have shot a lot in a hot climb. And the other thing that you use to protect your hand is from injury, from getting cuts, abrasions for any number of tasks. So let's just go into it. These are gloves and mittens that I have acquired over a lifetime, and let's get into it. All right, when I enlisted in the United States Army in the early 1980s as a young lad, this glove and liner were part of my basic issue as a soldier that I went through the in-processing station, and these are very simple. A pair of wool liners. These things are lightweight. Wool liner, very cheap and inexpensive, yet wool will keep your hands warm even when they're wet, and a pair of leather shells. Heavy duty leather work gloves. And they're not bad, you know. Obviously these things are about 40 years old and I still have them. They've hung in there. The problem is that the leather work gloves are heavy and they'll stand up to a lot of wear. And these are great, say, for rappelling and maybe working with concertina wire. But, if you don't have gauntlets. But you don't have the dexterity. You really can't handle things. Now, I had many of my friends that cut off the trigger finger or cut off the finger and make basically fingerless gloves, and that worked after a fashion. If you're going to use them in the field, especially in the draws in North Carolina, you wanted something to protect your hands from the wait-a-minute vines, but it protected your knuckles and your palm, but your fingers were still exposed, yet you had the dexterity that you needed. So, in use in conjunction, yeah, they protected your hand and kept them dry and warm, but you really didn't have any dexterity. For these, for what they are, they're awesome. They still, I think you can buy them Army surplus for just a couple bucks. And like I said, wool, they'll keep your hands warm, but they're going to wear out quick. And I want to say I got issued 2 pairs of liners, and this is the pair that survived. The other pair went by the wayside, but they're still hanging in there. But anyway, not bad. I would give these a good solid B for the time, although they're not, cutting edge technology today, but they still work. I did have a friend of mine who was Army military free fall in the 70s, and he said, hey, when they were doing Halo, this is what he wore to protect his hands from the cold. So, there's been improvements now. There's better stuff out there. But like I said, for what they are, these are great. So I'd give this a good solid B, maybe a B+, and these maybe a B minus. Cayman simple leather work gloves. These used to be, I think, like $5 a pair. They're right around that. For what they are, they're excellent. I keep these in my truck. Obviously, they've been used. I got a winch on my truck. Anytime I use a winch, I use gloves on my hand, and for working on any other things, gathering wood or whatever happens to be going on, for what they are, these things are outstanding. No Mix flight gloves. These things are pretty awesome. So these were the kind of the first glove that could offer your hands some protection, yet you had the where it was easy. They were tight enough fit where you could manipulate a firearm and protect your hands from heat. And if you were in Bones Fort Creek in North Carolina, it would somewhat protect your hands from at least some of the wait-a-minute vines. You can tell that these things have been heavily used for what they are. They still do work. Flight crews still use them. Flight glove, good to have. And, they still work after fashion. A little bit dated. There's better things out there, but the word tactical is overused. But in my opinion, these are kind of the first tactical glove. I'll give them B+, maybe even an A-. Hide work gloves. These are also another pair that I keep in my car. I keep 2 pair in case I need to have somebody help me or I misplaced one. These are great. These were a 3-pack that my daughter got in some big box store. Relatively inexpensive. Still have a good amount of dexterity, and they're made with a combination between leather and synthetic material. These will not break the bank. Good utility, and honestly could almost handle a firearm with these too. So really, for the money, excellent pair of gloves. Cabela brand light shooting glove. These things are at the end of their service life. I have 15 years. You can see they're getting holes. You can see there's some paint that I've used when I was working on stuff. I used to wear these for hunting. I've used these to protect my hand on a number of occasions. Hunting, shooting, light construction work, and any more of these are relegated in when I go run or walk when it's cold to protect my hand. These are just about done. These are a combination of suede material. Pretty good dexterity. You can definitely manipulate a firearm with these, and for what they were, these were cheap. They were at like 15 bucks. They have been a good pair of gloves, but they're just about worn out. But overall, I give it a good solid B. Fox River Mills fingerlit glove. Basically, wool inserts with the fingers cut out, only they come that way. These were cheap, 5-6 bucks. I've got a lot of service. They're starting to see some wear too. You have some dexterity to manipulate things with your fingertips. For the money, great. Give it a good solid B. Whitewater insulated with 40 gram of Thinsulate hunting gloves. These things are great. As you can see, they have seen a crap load of usage. I have worn these for at least 10 or 12 hunting seasons, and they're about at the end of their service life as well. They're torn up and ripped up, but they still work, and they're primarily to keep your hands warm, and they do a good job of this. These were part of a Christmas game my family and I play, and I think these were bought by my nephew Jackson. So if you're seeing this, Jackson, thanks. These were a great gift. I give them good solid B+. Outdoor Research Windstopper gloves. Normally, I really like Outdoor Research products. These, at best, a B-. They will keep your hands dry. They will keep your hands relatively warm, and the dexterity on these things aren't great. I've used them quite a bit. You can see some wear marks. They work okay. I'd say at best, though, about a B-. Next up are Bob Allen shooting gloves. I love these things. I've had them forever. They were under 10 bucks. You can kind of see the wear. Good warmth, good water repellent. They're neoprene and maybe a little bit of suede reinforced in some of the places, but great dexterity and definitely can be used to handle a firearm. Great for shooting or when you have to do a finer task, but you still need, your hands need some protection from the elements. For the money, A-. Wiley X Tactical Glove. These things are awesome. I really like these a lot. These get an A. I use these for a great deal. I used these when I was assigned to a tactical team, and we were doing entries and basically a lot of urban stuff. Protect the hand really well. They do have a reinforced hard knuckle, which was a feature I wouldn't think that I would like, but I really do. They hold up fairly well. These protected my hand. You can see right here. We were on a training exercise, and we had a, I think the primary breacher went down. He must have tripped or sprained his ankle or some darn thing. And we were training in some houses that were going to get demolished. And I picked up a Halligan tool and breached a sliding glass door. And I did it wrong because I wasn't supposed to be the breacher. It was on me. And when I breached the sliding glass door, the Halligan tool, the way I did it, sucked my hands in and I cut my fingers. And I still cut them on this, and it bled like crazy, and everybody on my team was laughing at me, and I think I had to go either to an urgent care and either get a stitch or two or super glued. I don't really remember. But the bottom line is this: if I wasn't wearing these gloves, it would have been a heck of a lot worse. And these were procured for me by a friend from another tactical team, which had a much greater budget than ours. I think the term tactical is overused, but really, if you are spending a lot of time professionally shooting, if you're not practicing shooting with your gloves on, you're wrong. If you're doing things in a round on a tactical team, your hands are exposed, and it's good to have some protection. And like I said, these are Wiley X, really like them. Oakley also makes a tactical glove. You won't see them here, and I was issued a pair of Oakleys, and I can't say I recommend them because those things dissolve. They were expensive, and those things came apart in less than 2 months of use. So I give this a, I'm not going to talk about the Oakleys any more than I already have, but I will give the Wiley X tactical glove or shooting glove a. I've talked about gloves a great deal, and these partially do have a liner glove, another pair of lightweight liner gloves, but I haven't talked about mittens. Mittens in extreme cold are warmer. I did a short about this on my channel. These are outdoor research. Really like them a lot. These are excellent, especially used in conjunction with a liner. So if you need some more, you need fingers, you just pull them off, and the liner still protects your hands from the cold. Yet, you know, you can slip the cover back on. These do have their trigger mitten, and these are excellent. The only complaint that I have about these are they're a little spendy. So, but good solid B+. I was just using them camping overnight in the Rockies, and definitely kept my hands protected and warm. B+. Keeping with the theme of mittens, the thing that I have seen is that you can have expensive mittens that keep your hand warm, and then you can have inexpensive mittens that keep your hand warm. Now here I've used the Army issue wool glove liner, but it can be used in the exact same way. And these are simply a pair of, I think, Danish Army surplus mittens. They also have a trigger mitten on them, and these can be used in exactly the same way as the Ocean Research mittens with a liner, only in this case, instead of a synthetic lightweight, this is slightly more heavy, but it's wool. And use them with this mittens, and this combination once again works great. And I would also give this B+, and much less expensive. Polypropylene wristovers. These were bought from Brigade Quartermaster in the 80s. I also, when I bought what they referred to as the head over, all these are basically a glove sock. Look, in an emergency, if you wanted something to protect your hands that you still want some dexterity, you could make these out of a pair of wool sock, but apparently I had some money burning a hole in my pocket. These things work great when it's extremely cold to cover your wrists, or when it's really not that cold, where you want a little protection for your hands, but your fingers won't freeze off. Kind of a neat little item, maybe a C+, maybe a B-. They work well enough, but how often do I use them? Really, I've had these a long time and haven't used them really that much. And finally, here's a pair of Ridge Hunter waterproof thin-insulated gloves. I keep these a little bit nicer when I want to keep my hands warm when I'm doing something, I don't want to say dress, but maybe in a professional setting. These are inexpensive, they work well. I've had several types of these gloves over the years. The only thing that I don't like about them is I cannot get a pair to last more than 3 or 4 seasons before they wear out, even with relatively light use. B to a B-. And there you have it, folks. From shooting gloves to work gloves to insulated mittens to wrist covers to partlet gloves. This is what works well for me and might give you some ideas of what might work well for you. That's all for this week. This is Old Soldier out.